right, welcome back to Top 5 Vinyl, where we show love to vinyl owners. Today I'm here with James of My Record Collection. How's it going, sir?
It's going well. Yeah, it's going real good.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. And I think I met you on Instagram. Can you let the people know on Instagram where they can find you?
Yeah, it's that's only the only social media I'm on, but it's myrecord.collection on Instagram. Yeah.
Nice. All right, cool. And before we get started, I want everybody to like the channel, subscribe, all that fun stuff you guys got to do to YouTube land out there. With that being said, James, can you tell me the last vinyl record that you bought?
Oh man, that's a good
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Um, the last one I got, I think was um Deltron 3030, I think, or
Mm,
I don't know, I'm getting the number wrong probably, but yeah, it's hip hop album from I
okay.
don't know, it's like early 2000s or late 90s. But yeah, it's
Gotcha.
a cool one. It's got cool production on it and like a whole sort of sci-fi world that's in. So yeah, it's one I've
Okay.
listened to lots before and just kind of I found it recently. So
Nice.
yeah,
I only did that because you told me before we started recording that you've seen my interviews and I had to throw
yeah,
you off a little bit.
yeah,
All right, cool. So let's go ahead and hit the format. So let's hit the rewind button. James, did you grow up in a house that had a record player?
yeah. I did. I was an '80s kid, so and my dad had a record collection actually, and a
Mm,
record player, and yeah, so and he let us use it.
mm,
He had a bunch of records, and it was like every Saturday we'd pull one out and play it as we kind of cleaned the house and stuff as
mm.
kids. So yeah,
I see that. I see that backdrop behind you, or any of those from your father.
yeah, a bunch of these are. Yeah, it was sort of the start of my collection was pillaging through his one and then
Mm,
pulling out because he still has a record player, but he doesn't really listen to them anymore.
mm,
So
mm.
yeah,
Gotcha. All right. Do you remember the first vinyl record that you bought with your own money?
yeah. Actually, I pulled it here so I could show. So, yeah, it was two actually that I got the same day. I remember them, but it was Madlib Shades of Blue and
Mm.
this Curtis Mayfield Roots album were the two I bought that day.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, do you have a favorite record store or have had or have a favorite record store to go to?
Yeah, I there's probably in the city. Not that it's not a huge city that I live in. Maybe about just under a million people. So we have like not that many record stores, but there's three that I think I have frequented the most over the years, and it was Into the Music, which is sort of like the biggest one. They've been around for a long time.
Mm,
Dooley Records and Frenchie's Records, which is sort of like a record shop slash cafe, sort of
mm,
located in St. Boniface, which is like the French quarter of our city. So yeah, it's
mm.
a cool shop.
Okay. And in
Yeah,
any trip to any of those stores, you remember the most amount that you walked out with at one time?
the most amount of records I think I purchased wasn't here. It was in it was down in a went on a trip to LA and so went to Amoeba
Okay.
because that was sort of one thing I wanted to make sure I went to, and I think I bought like I don't know 7 or 8 records
Mm,
that trip, so it
mm.
was a lot. Yeah,
Okay. Uh, what record don't you own that you're dying to get your hands on?
recently I've been sort of I always go through phases of like what genre I'm sort of more into, but my favorite genre is soul music, and
Mm,
been just kind of going through my collection, listening to all the stuff I have, especially stuff from the '70s, and uh, there's one I'm blanking on the name too now, but I can picture the cover. But
mm.
it's an Isaac Hayes album that
Okay.
there's one more sort of from his sort of run there of his best albums that I'm looking
Mm,
for. It's one
mm.
that's sort of like a swirl of color sort of around his face in the middle. Blanking on
Okay.
what the name is for that one. Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We'll put it at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
cool. Have you seen any of your top five perform live before?
No, I real wish I did. I mean, online I have watched,
Mm,
performances there, but no, being where we are, we don't get many
mm.
tours that come through, so I'd have to kind of search it out, and maybe one day I will, but I haven't yet seen any of them perform live yet.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
All right, James, with that being said, this is top five vinyl. Can you share the number five album that you have in front of you right now?
yeah. Well, I did sort of cheat. It was a tie for me,
Mm,
and maybe I'll sort of explain. Like sort of recently on my account, sort of starting to go through some of my favorite albums of all time. And so, well, I don't maybe have like necessarily a ranked list per se. I try to choose a few, at least some of them. A couple of them I think I have sort of highlighted on there, but choose some that I think maybe just in the general sort of discussion I don't think are being talked about as much as
Mm,
maybe they should be. And so
right.
that's sort of the ones I pulled out were just ones I really like, and think if people haven't given them a listen, that they should
Hmm.
give them a chance. But with that, yeah, I had two that were sort of tied for the fifth spot, I would say.
Okay.
The first one, maybe I'll start with, of the two that were tied, just because it's a really short album, is Tierra Whack World.
Mm,
So this one was, at least my introduction to it came through Instagram. She posted like all her songs with little videos of it together, and they're all, at the time it was like you had a minute max on Instagram that you could record a
mm,
video.
right.
So all the songs on the album are like exactly 1 minute long. So it's
Mm,
and there's I think 15 tracks. So it's like a 15-minute long
hmm,
album. And then yeah, a number of years ago she released it on vinyl. It's a great record. All the songs, like, they're so short that like kind of get into them, and they leave so fast, and that's maybe one of the flaws, but also you never get really kind of sick of it because of that. So yeah, love this album. I remember it was kind of a big deal when it first came, but I just don't hear people talking about it as much anymore. So
mm,
that's the one I wanted to sort of, one of the two for number five I wanted to highlight.
mm.
uh
Nice. Nice.
the other one is from Amaray. It's the I always forget the name of this one, The Angel You Don't Know.
Mm,
And this one, like, she kind of, I feel like, really picked up with her last album, Fountain Baby, but this was the one that I was introduced to her through. And yeah, I love this album. It's a kind of interesting mix of, like, I think she's, her background, like, her ethnicity's Ghanaian, so she has a
mm,
lot of like Afropop sort of influences, but also pulls in a lot of sort of like electronic music, and even I feel like so far, from the ones I've heard, she always puts in like a punk song, in here as well. So,
mm.
which kind of, to me, kind of comes out of nowhere, but it makes it interesting. But yeah, so this is, I got this one a number of years ago, but just, I love the album art. Just sort of neon colors, all
Yeah, I like the
kind of,
artwork.
yeah, it's kind of crazy, and yeah, it's a cool album, and yeah, you don't see it around much. I got lucky for a find, and
Mm,
came with a
mm,
poster and stuff. So
mm,
yeah, it's a great album. If you
mm.
haven't listened to The Angel You Don't Know by Amaray, definitely give it a check it out.
Cool. All right. So that's your number five.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and take a look at your number four. Actually, before you get into your number four, how hard was it for you to narrow down five?
Oh, it's super hard. Yeah. I mean, like, at first I sort of went through my mind of the ones that, I thought, oh yeah, I'll talk about these. But then I felt like, well, I've seen other people talk about them lots, and then I started to, you start pulling things, and then you realize you got a big stack. So
Hmm.
really had
Hmm.
to whittle it down, and obviously, I failed doing just five. So yeah, it was tough. Yeah,
Glad to hear it. All right,
yeah.
cool. Let's see your number four.
All right, number four, Flying Lotus, Cosmogramma.
Mm,
This is when I don't even know how long ago this came out. Probably like almost 15 years ago, maybe at this point. But yeah, it was sort of came out around the time I really got into collecting records, and this one I was drawn to actually at the time just because I thought the cover looked super cool. And he, Flying Lotus, if you're not familiar with him, electronic artist, does a lot of beat music. He was part of a sort of a big scene that was sort of built around beat music in the LA area, and they had a club. Trying to remember the name of it. There where you go and these guys would all perform and stuff. And he was sort of the, I guess, the movement leader of that group of people. And Flying Lotus himself, I think, was really highly influenced by Dilla. But this album, to me, what's really cool about it is it really runs and plays like an electronic jazz album in my
mm,
mind. You got Thundercat; they're sort of best buds now, but this I think was when they first really started collaborating together.
mm,
Again, the artwork I think is just super cool, but that's what drew me to it in the first place. But the music's also great, and that's the important part. And yeah, I don't. Flying Low has been kind of, I think, a little bit quiet the last number of years, and this still remains my favorite album of his. And if you haven't given it a
mm,
listen, it's definitely, yeah, definitely a really interesting listen. Yeah, a lot of electronic, interesting beats, but to me, yeah, really kind of comes off as a jazz album more than an electronic album in my mind.
mm. Okay, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. That's your number four. Let's go ahead and take a look at your number three.
Yeah, number three, it's unfortunately a really beat up copy, but it's a hard one to get your hands on. And this is I bought I bought it, knew it was already kind of beat up at the
Mm,
time when
mm,
it first came out. But Most Def, the Ecstatic,
mm,
it's it's not, I don't know why it's not on streaming, which makes it a little bit more even exciting because it kind of pushes me to have to pull it out and play it on the record player. But
mm,
just fantastic album. I think he at the time was really into like MF Doom and Madlib, and so it's all of it's like Madlib production that he kind of pulled from different albums, and then some I think his original stuff for him, and also I think Madlib's, I don't know, his brother or cousin Ono has some production on here, but yeah, it's got this kind of cool like a lot of them have a lot of like Middle Eastern kind of instrumentation in it.
mm,
Even's got a really good like Slick Rick feature on the album, and
mm,
yeah, I just love it. It's one that I come back to all the time.
mm. Is there a
Yeah.
year in the back of that thing? What year do you think this came out? I'm curious.
2009. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
So yeah,
Cool.
fantastic album. If you haven't listened to it, definitely worth giving it a spin. The vinyl itself pretty basic, just two records inside, and
Mm.
I can kind of kick myself. I had like the download card and everything, and I gave that to a friend so he could download it. And now I care more about those things like the hype sticker and all
Right.
that stuff I try and keep. But this is when I first started. So
Nice. All
yeah,
right, cool. That's your number three.
yeah.
Let's go ahead and take a look at your number two.
All right, yeah. My number two, it's one that it's a record I'm always championing because I feel like I never hear anybody really talking about it. But it's
Hmm.
Sarah Creative Partners, Nuclear Evolution, The Age of Love,
Mm.
and yeah, Sarah. They were, I think, at one point they were even signed to like Kanye's Good Music, back when you wanted to be signed to that. Um, but yeah, they worked a lot. The way I found about them was from a different album, but they work a lot with they did things for Erykah Badu. I think uh, Taz Arnold had worked with Kendrick Lamar, and Omos Keith had worked with Frank Ocean. So
Mm.
they do a lot of production stuff, but this is their sort of front facing project. Shafiq, who's one of the three here, he also does some solo stuff, but I don't think I've ever seen anything solo from the other two members. But I love this album because for me it's like a closest thing I think we had to like a modern funkadelic. Like
Mm.
they just have that same kind of energy. It's a little bit wacky. It's really playful, but also like can be really funky. And they also have sort of more modern influences. So there's a lot of sort of hip hop influences in there. And, in some parts they're really strange even, like you have a mix of, someone singing like a sweet, because they collaborate with a lot of other artists, but, you'll have like, some R&B singer on there doing like a sweet verse. And then they're in the background doing this sort of like monotone, singing in the back, and that sort of juxtaposition of the two sounds I think is really cool. And yeah,
Mm.
anyways, I think it's a really awesome album. If you haven't given it a chance, you should definitely check it out.
Mm. And is there any artwork in the back of this one?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Mm.
same keeping with that sort of, I don't know if these are supposed to be roses or what.
Mm.
And then yeah, inside's pretty basic, but they do have like a little sort of insert here that has like the lyrics and production
Mm.
credits and everything. Yeah.
Okay. And if you had to pick, do you have a favorite song on this album?
Oh, it's a good question. I really like this album, but so it'd be hard to narrow it down. But I think I swear that was sort of when I first got into this. I swear he say she say those were sort
Hmm.
of my favorite when I first listened to this. But I
Mm.
don't know, it's a tough one. There's a lot of good tracks in
Okay.
here.
All right,
Yeah.
cool, cool. All right. James, for the grand finale, what do we
Uh,
have for number one?
yeah, I don't think this would be this one. Anyone who's maybe familiar with my account, this won't be a surprise. It's literally like the image I use because I can never figure out what sort of like I don't know, little avatar image to use for the account. So this one actually, if I ever had to choose gun to my head, this would be my favorite album of all time.
Mm.
But it's Erykah Badu, New
Mm.
America
Mm.
Part One, Fourth World War. This album, yeah, it's what led me to like Sarah and a bunch of other people. And while I think people are familiar with this one, I think it gets overlooked from some of her other projects like Mom Looks Gun and stuff. But this is actually my favorite of hers. And like I said, soul music's my favorite genre. And I remember when this thing came out, I just was sort of blown away because it was, you had the whole neo soul thing that, she was doing, D'Angelo and a lot of the people in that Soul Aquarians group were working on. But this one felt like the first time they weren't maybe necessarily looking backwards, but were looking really forwards. It's a
Mm,
really progressive production, left field stuff. It's also, I would say, your most aggressive project, and yeah, just doing some crazy stuff on this album. And it's one of those ones where I dug through the liner notes to see
mm,
like who was she working with, and
mm,
led me down sort of a musical sort of journey of discovering people. So like I wasn't really familiar with Madlib at the time, but
mm,
introduced me to Madlib, and then all his collaboration and work there, and then Georgia Ann Muldrow, Questlove, of course, is on here. Sour Creative Partners already mentioned, and yeah, you got Ninth Wonder on here. You got a bunch of just
mm.
talented people, all contributing to this thing. And yeah, it's an album that I return to often and enjoy it just as much. Yeah,
Nice. All right, cool. James, can you tell the people one more time where they can find you on Instagram?
yeah, it's myrecord.collection. And yeah, if you, I don't say as much. Maybe this is the first time I've even done anything in front of the camera, but I just started showing the records I have. I have a lot. I have, I think, over 1,000 at this point,
Mm.
records, and yeah, just to show everything that's in there, and just kind of you know sometimes share a little bit of thoughts on albums as well. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, keep the content coming. I see it out there.
All right.
Yeah, man. But I appreciate your time and thank you so much for this, man. We'll talk
Yeah.
soon.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
Yeah. You too.